In this video, we're looking at how teachers can help learners become more fluent by using grammar patterns. We're going to see how they might gain confidence in creating longer utterances and use pattern resources creatively. Our first example is the adjective pattern, adjective about N. The adjectives in this pattern are all to do with feelings. And what we're going to do is give the learner two sentences and ask them to join them together. For example, I described my idea and John was enthusiastic. And we want the learner to write, John was enthusiastic about my idea. I wanted to meet some friends. Anne was not keen. Anne was not keen about meeting friends. Or there was a terrible mess. Robin was cheerful. Robin was cheerful about the terrible mess. The next group of adjectives are all about feeling unhappy rather than happy with a situation. So some paintings were sold. Jenny was unhappy. The learner writes, Jenny was unhappy about the sale of the paintings. Notice that the learner has had to change the verb, paintings were sold, into a noun, the sale of the paintings. They had to leave and they were sad. This can be written two ways. They were sad about leaving or they were sad about having to leave. I wanted to leave, Dave was bitter. Dave was bitter about the fact that I wanted to leave. Now notice that in this case, because the pattern is about and a noun, the learner has had to put in the noun fact to link the two things together. The next set of examples uses adjectives about different emotions. The first one is travelling by plane, and some people are worried. Some people are worried about flying. The work was delayed and the residents were furious. The residents were furious about a delay in the work. Here again, the learner has had to change the verb, was delayed, into a noun, a delay in the work. And he lost touch with his family and he became angry. He became angry about losing touch with his family. Now we're going to look at another example of using a pattern to join together ideas. And we're going to look at the pattern verb, noun, into doing something, where we talk about one person forcing or persuading another person to do something. Our first example is youngsters eat spinach and scientists brainwash them. And we want the learner to write, scientists brainwash youngsters into eating spinach. Or he cut his hair and his elder brother forced him. We want the learner to write, his elder brother forced him into cutting his hair. People did what he wanted, he frightened them. The learner writes, he frightened people into doing what he wanted. The next two examples use verbs about tricking. So a human judge thought the machine was a person, joined with the machine fooled the human being. The learner writes, the machine fooled a human judge into thinking it was a person. And a business paid for two machines, someone tricked it. We can make passive, a business was tricked into paying for two machines. Following on the passive, the next set of examples just give us the result of the persuasion. For example, the school raised funds for a library, or patients give inaccurate information, or tourists visit this ancient village, or people spend more than they can afford. If we suggest to the learners verbs they might use, galvanise, lead, spur, tempt, the learner can write, the school was galvanised into raising funds for a library. Patients were led into giving inaccurate information. Tourists were spurred into visiting this ancient village. Or people may be tempted into spending more than they can afford. Our next example is a noun pattern, noun followed by that clause. Here things are a little bit more difficult for the learner because they have to change a verb into a noun. So we're going to give the learner a bit of help by giving them the beginning of the sentence in each case. So we tell the learner, he bullied staff, and you alleged this. And the learner will write, I deny your allegation that he bullied staff. She would not have a fair trial, and someone argued this. And we're giving the learner, the court rejected the argument that she would not have a fair trial. We give the learner, the British are a nation of shopkeepers, and tell them that this is a remark. And they write, who made the remark that the British are a nation of shopkeepers? We give the learner, she would succeed in her exams, and she dreamt. The learner writes, she had a dream that she would succeed in her exams. Or moderate inflation is healthy, and we should recognise this. And here we give the learner a bit of help. What I'm arguing for is the recognition that moderate inflation is healthy. In the next set of examples, the nouns are all to do with emotions. The ship might be in distress, and he was concerned. The learner writes, he expressed concern that the ship might be in distress. Microwaves are dangerous, and people fear this. The learner writes, there are fears that microwaves are dangerous. Or she had broken her vows, she did not feel guilty. The learner writes, she felt no guilt that she had broken her vows. More information about grammar patterns is available on this channel, or go to the grammar section of collinsdictionary.com.